In conversation with Chima Ejem Ifeanyi Ezechuku, Chima has established himself as a workshop trainer and proofreader. He was born in Clapton, London. He spent several years in England before moving to Nigeria with experience where he completed his education to college level. He returned to the UK in 1996 where he studied communications and law at the London Metropolitan University and attained BA honours. Chima is a qualified paralegal but currently volunteers as an assistant teacher at an adult education center. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy and excitement to offer the show today, Shima Ejem Ifeanyi Ezechiku. How are you doing today, Shime? Welcome on the show.
I'm fine, really, really fine. I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's quite lovely. We first met at the Black British Book Festival, and here we
Yes.
are sitting down to have a conversation around your book. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, thank you. The pleasure is mine.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Shima, I need to first say that I was taken aback by the description page of your book, Snake Among Shadows, which we actually had the privilege of chatting a bit, quite, not too much about at the all at the book festival. But then I would like us to start today's conversation again by asking you what inspired you to write this book. How does it come to be? What is the foundation to the making of it? And when exactly did you decide to say, oh yeah, I need to tell a story and this has to be the story? If you can give us a little bit of the background towards the making of the book, that'll be fine.
Well, I was born with cerebral palsy, mild cerebral palsy, and I've been privileged to go to school and good schools at that. I found out that I like reading and writing,
Mm,
and in doing that, I grew up with a bunch of people who also liked the same things I liked, who loved adventure, especially adventure writing. So
yeah.
that spurred me on basically to create characters or to create a character and, to ensure that this character or these characters were projected out there for
Mm.
the public to see.
That's a lovely one, really. I love this story towards the making of this book. I love the foundation towards the making of it. Thank you for that lovely, beautiful introduction into the making of it. Thank you so much for sharing. And also, for readers, for the sake of readers who are yet to discover the book, who are yet to find out what is contained in the story, who are yet to see what exactly it involved in Snake Among Shadows, without giving much information away. Could you tell us about some of the themes, subject lines, or even the overarching themes that the would-be reader would expect picking up the book?
Well, for starters, I'm a mystery adventure writer
Yeah.
or slash crime fiction writer. And some of the themes that have to do with, well, crime, family,
Yeah.
society,
Mm,
norms people have to deal with, some norms people don't have to deal with. And it's all really about choices and how people mingle, trying to find a way to
yeah.
either exist in a community
Mm.
or to put a point across.
Oh, wow. That's a great one, really. I love your take on that. And I would like you to show the book to the camera. That's the first one, Snake Among Shadows, before I go on to my next question, just so we can see what it looks like. Snakes
Well,
Among Shadows.
Snake among the title feature here was created because I wanted to create a hero. Well, I
Oh,
actually created a hero, but I am not just a hero, but an anti-hero, which is the opposite of a hero. An anti-hero is the opposite of a hero.
yeah.
And I wanted to create this hero because a flawed person who was full of mistakes,
Mm.
but who also wanted to ascend to the top.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and in doing that, I mean, look at the greats out there. The Ian Flemings, they created James Bond. Bob Kane, who created Batman.
Mm.
Lee Child, who created Reacher. They've created characters that are worldwide well known.
Yeah.
So, despite my disability, I said, if these guys can do it, I can do it.
I can do it, you know. I love your motivation towards that. That sounds to me like an amazing one. And I'd like you to raise the book again, much properly to the camera, a bit upper. Absolutely, just so we can see the cover. Would you like to talk about the making of the cover? Because I can see something that looks like a crocodile opening the mouth and a circle in it, like a gun.
It's not a crocodile. It's a snake.
Oh, it's a snake. Oh, oh my goodness, that was quite fun. That's a beautiful
It's a
cover you
snake.
got in there.
Yeah, and the other bit is part of someone's face.
Oh.
That's actually my face, but
Oh.
the graphic designer decided to use it.
Oh, that's a beautiful one. Thank you. Thank you about that. Quite beautiful to know. Quite fun. And also in your book, one of your book, Mark Logan, yeah,
The hero, the anti-hero of the
hero,
book,
yeah,
the series.
absolutely. It was portrayed as a complex character with a dark past. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering what inspired you to create such a multifaceted protagonist, and how did you approach developing his character throughout the novel? If you'd like to
But
talk about.
the truth of the matter is, I wanted him to look unique.
Yeah, I love that.
I wanted him to be unique. I mean, you've got other characters out there who have a certain trait about them,
Yeah.
but there aren't many characters apart from one or two I know who've created somebody because this guy has a long-term memory loss condition.
Wow.
So he's actually there, but he's not there because he
Mm,
can't seem to remember a no good number of things that happened.
mm,
But he's brilliant. He's intelligent. He's got the everything
yeah.
one has,
Yeah.
but he can't seem to remember most of what happened to him a long while ago.
Yeah.
And that's why he's unique. He's an educated policeman who got dumped, who had
Mm,
an accident, and from the accident, he started having all these problems.
mm,
And because of his long-term memory condition,
yeah.
the police couldn't use him again, and he decided to. A friend of his, who became his boss, decided to use him as a PI, a
Wow.
private investigator.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds to me like an interesting switch. That sounds to me like one that is going to make a very lovely plot twist and a huge, beautiful transitioning.
Yeah,
Quite
yeah.
amazing.
The
Yeah.
the title of the book is "A Snake Amongst Shadows."
Mm.
He's the snake because he's nicknamed Rattlesnake, but he's amongst these characters, who lurk in the shadows, who
Oh.
lurk in the night, who
Mm.
lurk, doing things that, illegitimate and,
Yeah.
deadly and devious and
Yeah.
nefarious.
Wow.
So he has to deal with all that.
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful one. I love your illustration and explanation of this. I mean, this story, this book. It sounds to me to be quite amazing and quite awesome. Now, you've been quite active in organizing writing workshops and masterclasses. Could you share what you hope writers, especially the emerging ones of today, would take away from these sessions and how you see these workshops contributing to their growth and confidence as storytellers?
I've done a couple of workshops.
Mm.
I created particular workshop I called MAW, which is Mechanics of Adventure Writing.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Mechanics of Adventure Writing workshop, and from there it spurred on to the master classes. Now
Oh,
we do these workshops and master classes to enable people write, regardless of whether you're an adventure writer or not.
mm,
People tend to go veer towards creative writing, and I wanted to do that also, but no, I said no. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to stand out. I'm
yeah,
going to focus specifically on adventure, which is a subgenre.
yeah, absolutely. It is.
So I did that, and funny enough, some people didn't buy it for one reason or the other. They said
Mm,
it doesn't click with what others are doing. And I
Oh,
said, I'm not about what others are doing. I want to do, look, I'm
you know,
adventurous. I want to stand out and tell people, tell
absolutely.
the world, this is what
Yeah.
I do. And it started from, I came up with this idea in 2017.
Wow.
I've been doing it for quite a while, but we decided to go more or less public with it.
Mm,
So I came up with the idea 2017 and 2018, it picked up. But
wow.
then we had to slow down when COVID
Yeah.
stepped in.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to resurrect it. I've got a few dates in the calendar now. I'll start as for June and July to do my workshops again. But I'm coming up with something special,
Wow. Oh, that's a lovely one,
and
really.
they're quite fun.
Oh, wow. That's a
You might have to come to one.
That's quite a beautiful one, really. I love your take on that. That's a lovely answer you've gotten there. And thank you so much for letting us know about your master classes. Quite
Yeah.
beautiful to know.
It's
Yeah,
called
quite.
Mechanics of Adventure Writing, specifically geared for people who want to write in general. And
Yeah,
what I've actually noticed that people want to be creative about it. I also talk about creative writing, but I noticed that people don't know the difference between adventure and
yeah.
creative. Because
Uh,
you won't believe it. Up till today, people are asking me, but I thought they were the same. And people are saying, I thought they were the same. They're not the same. But
wow,
I have to deal with that. I have to deal with that.
wow,
And thank God I work with a specific number of people, a team of I'm blessed to have a team around me. So they help me and we really have fun on the day. So
wow.
I'm going to start this again in a couple of libraries.
Wow.
We've booked for Palmer's Green Library near Tottenham, and I'm also going to go to Walthamstow if they sanction it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Walthamstow Central.
Wow. That's quite amazing. I love your take
So
on this.
I do free workshops. I do the free workshops, and then if the opportunity beckons, I do a paid workshop just for people to understand what they're getting into when they write. Could be anything, but I just point you in the right direction.
Yeah. Wow. That's a beautiful one. That's an awesome one. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Now, I want us to go into the conversation of readers' feedbacks. Because one of the things that I love most as a writer is to sit down, fold my hands, and listen to readers' feedbacks. And if you want to agree with me that one of the things that makes literature to be quite complex is the fact that it can be interpreted by different readers based on their opinions. Sometimes some readers might get the message intended by the author. Sometimes they might be close to getting the message. Sometimes they might be far from getting the message. And sometimes they might just hilariously misunderstand the message and interpret the book upside down.
Mm,
And
mm,
as
mm.
interestingly fun as this sounds, I wanted to ask you, how do you feel when readers interpret your words slightly differently or completely differently from what you intended as a storyteller? How does that make you feel as a writer?
Let me tell you a little story.
That's
What
good.
happened to me when I first published this? I published this book 10 years ago.
Oh,
And this book just recently came out. When I published the book, this particular book, I was opportune to meet Professor Wallace Shoyinka,
oh,
the
interesting.
literary giant. And
Yeah.
one of the PAs there said, what the hell is this? What the hell does this mean? Snake Among Shadows. It sounds like a Chinese flick.
Really?
And I tried to explain to her on the day that this isn't a Chinese flick. This has nothing to do with a Chinese. This is metaphorical.
Okay, I think she's interpreting it with Snake Among the Eagle Shadow, the
Yes.
famous movie. I think that's what came to her mind. Oh my goodness.
I tried to explain to her what she wasn't having it. But
Oh
funny
my
enough,
goodness.
I met her boss, the great Wole Soyinka,
Yeah,
with Michael, whom you've met.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we took a photograph together. It's on my blog.
Mm.
But I tried to convince this lady this has nothing to do with Snake in the Eagle Shadow. This is my thing. And she wasn't hearing it. She wasn't
Wow.
hearing it. But
Wow.
then again, when I came back home, my cousin had to sit me down and say, "Look, because you've written a book doesn't mean that everybody has to, go with you on that. They
Yeah,
they have their own interpretation. They have
absolutely.
their own critique. They
Yeah,
have their own way of understanding it.
yeah,
So just roll the dice and move with the flow." And
yeah.
I'm going, and it was my very first time somebody criticized me publicly.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't I don't get this book, she said.
Oh, that
And
must be
on top of
something.
that, before I had published the book,
Yeah.
I wanted to throw this book away. I'm so sorry I'm saying this on your platform. I wanted to throw the idea, everything about it away. It wasn't until a teacher friend of mine who saw the book, took the book from me for 1 week, and the lady came back with me and said, "You've created a monster." And that's when I started believing in what I created. And ever since then, nobody can tell me different. I've had some good memories with this one book, and
Mm.
I've started having good memories with the second book, which I've called Shades of Falcon. That's the sequel, and there are more to come out.
Wow. I love your from the little illustration and answer you've given. I was able to pick quite a lot of things in there. And I must say, this is one of the things that criticism sometimes can do more harm than we expected it can do as humans. Sometimes it could bring down one's self-esteem, especially
Yeah,
as a
yeah, yeah,
first-time writer. I mean,
yeah.
I started with self-publishing myself, and there was those first year when I first had my first book published. When I receive some bad criticism, it's always hurt my heart. And sometimes I feel like I don't think I should go ahead or, want to think of myself as a poet. But just one person, who later read the book, I mean, your own stance is quite even different because it's like a criticism coming quite publicly, which can be very embarrassing, really, to be frankly
Mm,
speaking.
mm-hmm,
Like, if I was the
mm-hmm.
one, I'll be very embarrassed. I said, oh, no, I won't even have the courage to go ahead and take the picture with the icon because I'll be
What, what,
like,
what,
oh,
what, what, that happened some 10 years ago, 10, almost 10, 12 years ago. And, the lady went, "I don't get it. I don't get what you're writing about." And she was saying that on the top of the notion that she was working with this literary giant, and he gave her the oomph or the impetus to say what she had to say. But
mm.
I was there with Michael and one or two other people, um, telling her, trying to explain to her
She hasn't
what
even read it.
what this book was all about. She wouldn't hear it.
She hasn't even
So it
read it.
wasn't on, and there was a Kenya businessman who I'm friends with today. Sode, forget about what she said. Focus on what you're writing.
Yeah.
Focus on your reading. Focus on the reviews people give you, and
Mm.
tally that with what you want to do.
Mm.
And I've never looked back. I've never
Yeah.
looked back. If you go online, if you go on Amazon, for instance, there are reviews
Yeah, I did
from
saw
people
some before.
from people.
Yeah. Yeah.
English people. I've never one or two people never even met,
Mm.
and they're talking loads about this particular book.
Mm.
And one or two friends of mine left reviews there again, and they said they can't see anything wrong with what I've written because they've read the book inside out.
Mm.
So she knows what she's talking about. I know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. She knows what she's talking about.
Honestly speaking, it's quite a lot, really. And I think it's one of the things about book conversation and all of these things. I love your take on that. And it's always very amazing with the fact that a single review, a positive one, can enlighten your eye. I can remember the first review I ever had in my book. Very comprehensive, spot out the good and the little errors associated with it. And I was very grateful. I was like, oh, thank you so much, Josh Keon. I didn't forget his name, Josh Keon, for this amazing, lovely analysis of my book. You made me feel good as a poet. You gave me this stance that, oh, you've got a good message out there. It's going
Mm.
to be very talented. I mean, I was very taken. I was like, oh, thank you. So some of these words help to, inspire, while the other ones tend sometimes to bring down. But it's all left for us as writers to develop this thick skin, to have in the back of our mind that, whatever readers say, it's their own cup of tea. And we should be able as well, prepared for criticism whatsoever. Thick skin
That's the
to
more
dust
reason
it
why I
off.
created my workshop, based
Yeah,
around the fact that, particularly, I love adventure. I grew up watching adventure stories, what
interesting.
exploratory adventure stories. So I wanted to veer off from creative writing projects, creative
Wow.
writing workshops,
Mm.
creative writing this or creative writing that. And even though I got challenged for it, I
Yeah.
said, no, I'm down. I
Oh,
am an adventure writing trainer
wow.
or a teacher.
Yeah.
And if anybody in the nonfiction area comes to me and tells me they want to write their biography or their autobiography, I can point them in the right direction because ultimately that is an adventure in its own
Yeah.
right.
Absolutely.
So people want to pick and choose what you want to tell from the story. It could be
Mm.
about saying how that person sang. It could be about how that person ran. It could be
Right.
about how that person was jumping or
Absolutely.
was through a stone. You
Mm.
just have to be specific about what your needs are
Absolutely.
when you write. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know this.
You don't.
I told you up till today, people still think creativity, writing, creativity, and adventure are one and the same thing. And when
Mm.
I started this, I'm not saying this to boost myself.
Yeah.
When I started my little workshop, there weren't many online pages about adventure writing.
Adventure writing. Yeah.
The only workshop that dealt with adventure, it's
Mm.
an American workshop.
Oh,
They
wow.
deal specifically with sci-fi and fantasy, but it's adventure.
Wow.
So those are the only, and I found out that people started going on television on Sky to do discussions to do with adventure.
Yeah.
But when I started out, not many people, there were not many pages about adventure writing.
Wow. That's quite a lot, really. Oh my, that's quite a fun one, really.
Very funny.
Yeah. It's quite a
It's
journey
very, very
as well.
funny. But
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about self-publishing and the kind of things we dabble in, you have to be patient.
Yeah.
You really have to
Very
be patient
patient. Yeah.
because if you're not, you can veer off and go in the direction you shouldn't be going in.
It's
So you have to take your time, plan out what you need to do, and move in that direction. Otherwise, you can be misled, and you're wasting time. Not just wasting time, you're wasting your money.
very true.
I'm into self publishing. I never went into traditional publishing. I had a number of people in the
Mm.
traditional publishing business come up to me and say they've seen my book online. They want to jump on board the bandwagon. That's how they said they put it out for me. And I said, when am I doing the sequel? And I said, I'm working on it, but I am not going to, jump into writing a story for the
Mm.
sake of writing a story. The story
Yeah.
must come out from the heart. And
Absolutely.
that's what I did with my second book. And I'm working on my third and fourth books right now.
Mm.
And even if it takes me 100 years for me to publish it, it won't take that long. I
Mm.
want it to be resounding. I want it to, impactful.
Mm.
Impactful. That's the word. I
Mm.
want the stories I write to be impactful.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a beautiful one, really. I like the fact that you want to leave it quite impactful, to leave an undeletable mark in the heart of the reader, one
Yeah.
that they will read and they will keep remembering long after they've read it, months after they've read it, years after they've read it.
Exactly. That's the
Impactful,
idea.
absolutely leaving a mark in the heart of the reader. I love that as a goal, as a mission that they've got as a writer. That's a beautiful one, I must say. It
Thanks, Pete.
is. Yeah, it is. And just in case we have some viewers who are currently watching this interview, I would love to get a copy of any of your books. On what platform are they available on for purchase?
I think this is available on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have a pop-up plan whereby if anybody's available wants to get a copy of the book, I could leave my details with you,
Okay.
and you phone them up, and they come to me, and then
Oh,
I can give them copies of the book.
oh, that's good. How about your
Yeah,
website? Do you have anything, a website or something?
I have a website. I'm trying to get the second book on my web page right
Oh,
now. We're working on it. The
okay.
other thing you could do, you could get in touch with Michael, who's actually the publisher of these books.
Oh,
Yeah. And then you can arrange something with him and he can give you copies.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where readers can get a copy of Shimit book directly on Amazon,
Yeah,
on the
yeah, yeah.
publisher's
You can.
website,
You can.
on his website,
You
and also on
can.
other platforms. I also left a link to his social media pages.
You can equally get a copy on my blog space, which
Oh,
is www.maclogan.blogspot.co.uk.
that's interesting. Thank you so much, Shima, for coming on to have this lovely conversation with you around your beautiful titles. I must say, this is such an amazing, lovely conversation around your adventurous work. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I hope
Yeah.
you invite me again.
That would be great. Absolutely.